The latest fracture in the Republican Party involves Ted Cruz and former House Speaker John Boehner. Cruz is trying to tie Mr. Speaker to Donald Trump after Boehner referred to Cruz as Lucifer in the flesh. In an interview with the Stanford Daily, Boehner said, "I have Democrat friends and Republican friends. I get along with almost everyone, but I have never worked with a more miserable SOB in my life." Well, Ted Cruz is campaigning in Indiana today alongside his new running mate, Carly Fiorina. In responding to Boehner's criticisms, he also took an opportunity to slam Trump.
John Boehner, in his remarks, described Donald Trump as his texting and golfing buddy. So if you want someone that's a texting and golfing buddy, if you're happy with John Boehner as Speaker of the House and you want a president like John Boehner, Donald Trump's your man. Truth of the matter is, I don't know the man. I've met John Boehner 2 or 3 times in my life. If I have said 50 words in my life to John Boehner, I'd be surprised, and every one of them has consisted of pleasantries. Good to see you, Mr. Speaker. I've never had any substantive conversation with John Boehner in any respect.
Our senior political editor, Steve Chaggaris, is following the latest Republican war. All right, Steve, let's talk about this spat. Does Boehner's opinion of Cruz matter to voters, and is this an accurate reflection of how Cruz is viewed by his colleagues? Let's face it.
I'm not sure it's going to matter to voters, but is it an accurate reflection? I think it probably is fairly accurate. Let's just look at the numbers. I mean, this has been a 3-man presidential race on the Republican side since March 15th. Cruz has 6 endorsements from his colleagues in the Senate out of 54 Republicans. At a time when there's been a move to try to stop Trump, there's been a lot of worry about Trump becoming the nominee, yet Cruz couldn't consolidate much support from his own colleagues. I think it's pretty clear what Democrats think, but what his Republican colleagues on the House and Senate side think of him. So I think it is I don't know if it's as harsh as what Boehner thinks, but it's definitely I think a somewhat fair representation of what his colleagues feel about him on Capitol Hill.
All right, let's talk about this other big news that happened yesterday. Cruz is standing by his decision to name Carly Fiorina as his running mate. He's arguing that it's the most important job of a president, but you know, we've talked about this before. History really isn't on his side. Ronald Reagan tried a similar tactic back in '76. He was challenging then President Gerry Ford. He went with Richard Schweiker. That didn't work. So what's Cruz trying to do here?
By the way, Reagan was doing this just before the convention and was in a really tight delegate battle with Ford and was trying to sway some delegates over to his side to get the nomination. So the primaries were all done, and this was really at the convention that he was doing this, or just before. This is unprecedented. In the middle of a primary fight, 6 weeks before the primaries are even wrapped up, he's gone out there and named a running mate. I mean, it's a clear effort to really just try to move the needle at the last minute. He needs to win in Indiana. He's trying to knock Trump off the front page with his own news, and is trying to sway voters. The question is, I mean, are voters in Indiana, people who are either going to vote for Kasich or thinking about voting for Kasich or thinking about voting for Trump or undecided, going to be swayed by a woman that is his running mate in a scenario that may never actually come to fruition? It's just a very, I don't know, he sort of created his own alternate reality here by having a full ticket when the nomination fight is not even close to ending yet.
Yeah, that's a great point too, Steve, that Reagan did this after the primaries, right at the convention, and Ford squeaked by razor-thin margin there, and ultimately went to Bob Dole, the vice presidency.